Working a 9 to 5 often feels like stepping into the world of Office Space, a soul-crushing cycle of pointless meetings, passive-aggressive bosses, and fluorescent-lit cubicles where ambition goes to die.
Hello, Peter. What's happening? We have sort of a problem here.
Just like Peter Gibbons, millions wake up dreading another day of clocking in for a job they secretly hate, all while pretending to care about things like TPS reports. In Office Space, the characters become so frustrated with their corporate jobs and the fact that they are replaceable that they resort to a desperate plan, stealing small amounts of money from the company's payroll system. One of the most glaring realities is that none of the employees have any meaningful upside. No performance bonuses, no equity, no real path to financial freedom. They show up, punch the clock, and grind through mindless tasks with no stake in the company's success. Whether they work harder or barely try, the outcome is the same: a fixed paycheck and a slow crawl toward burnout. It's a perfect illustration of why so many people feel stuck in the 9 to 5 system. Because when you don't own, you don't win. The movie was meant to be satire, but for many, it's a mirror, a painfully accurate one, of a life where freedom, purpose, and creativity get slowly drained away by corporate monotony. And in today's world, with AI looming and layoffs on the rise, that safe 9 to 5 is starting to look like a ticking time bomb. But here's the truth. They were aiming small. Instead of trying to beat the system from the inside, there's a better way to escape it entirely: by becoming a business owner. Entrepreneurship is the scalable and fulfilling alternative to years of quiet desperation. Rather than skim cents from a broken system, you can build something of your own, something that earns, grows, and gives you control over your time, income, and impact. Ownership is the real rebellion. How do I know this? On my channel, I've spoken about how I went from my corporate job to owning multiple businesses. I had a lot of jobs that didn't work out for a long period of time. I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur because I never had an idea for a killer app or a better mousetrap. But what I realized is that there was a flavor or a form of entrepreneurism that would really resonate with me, and that's called entrepreneurship through acquisition. It's the idea that you can be an entrepreneur by buying a business and growing that. All these jobs I had, they worked out for 3, 6, 12 months, but after that, I just started to hate them. At first, I thought I was just unlucky for not being able to find a better job, but after a while, I realized that I needed to look at myself in the mirror, and through that process of introspection, I realized that if I wanted to be happy, then I needed to be the one that was maybe not the final decision maker, but at the very least, I wanted to play an active role in the decision-making process. Since all these jobs I had, I was not able to participate in the decision-making process or have any real say in decisions, I realized that I didn't really have a seat at the table, and that if I wanted one, I was going to have to build my own table and probably build my own seat as well. I must warn you though, owning a business isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's late nights, tough decisions, and pressure that doesn't end at 5 p.m. You don't get a clock out when things go wrong, and there's no steady paycheck waiting just for showing up. But what you do get is ownership of your time, your growth, your upside, and your future. Unlike a 9 to 5 where your effort rarely matches your reward, business ownership gives you a direct path to building something that reflects your ambition. The risk is real, but so is the freedom. In The Matrix, Morpheus offers Neo a choice: take the blue pill and return to the illusion of comfort, or take the red pill and wake up to the truth. The blue pill is the corporate 9 to 5, predictable, safe, but soul-numbing. It's the routine of alarm clocks, commutes, and building someone else's dream while convincing yourself you're secure. The red pill, though uncomfortable, represents freedom, the chance to take control, think independently, and create your own path. Choosing to become a business owner is the real-world red pill. It's not easy, but it's real. It's waking up from an illusion that a paycheck equals security and realizing that true control only comes from ownership. And if you're willing to trade comfort for control, then here's how you can become a business owner this year. It's been almost 10 years since we bought our first business, and I can tell you it has not been all sunshine and roses ever since. My partner and I thought that after we bought our first business, shortly after we bought our second business, that it would just be a lot easier to get deals done. It would be a lot easier to grow our businesses, but that hasn't been the case. Now, I don't want you to think that because there are challenges in running a business, because there are challenges in trying to buy additional businesses, that it's not a good path, because it absolutely is a good path. I just want to be very clear that even though this is the right path for me, It is not without its challenges, and it has not been anywhere near easy. On the flip side, though, is I don't know if I would enjoy it if it were easy. I like the challenge. I like having to think creatively about how to get deals from, stuck in the mud to actually making real progress. I like, sitting in a chair and staring off into the horizon, thinking about the strategy for the business, because you don't really get to do that in most corporate jobs. Sometimes that process of thinking about what I want the company strategy to be, or maybe a very small component of the strategy, is the most rewarding, and it just leaves me energized. So even though it's difficult and challenging, it's still fulfilling, not just from the control perspective, but from the idea that I'm doing what I think I'm good at, I'm doing what I enjoy doing, and I am doing what is important and meaningful for the company to grow and thrive. It's completely normal for people to feel afraid of starting a business. The fear is real and justified. You hear the stats. Most businesses fail within the first 5 years. You worry about losing your savings, not getting customers, or not knowing what you're doing. And let's face it, starting from scratch is hard. It takes time, money, energy, and a strong stomach for uncertainty. For many, that risk feels too big, especially if you're used to the predictability of a steady paycheck. So you stay in the 9 to 5 telling yourself that one day maybe you'll take that leap, but that day rarely comes. I think it's partially also that the good is standing in the way of the great. You might have a good job, but that good job is not a great job. But what if there was another path, one that skipped the most painful part of entrepreneurship? Instead of starting a business, you can buy one that's already working. That means real customers, proven products, existing systems, and cash flow from day one. It's like buying a house that's already built and livable, rather than trying to pour the foundation yourself. Even better, there are ways to acquire these businesses without a big investment. Through seller financing, SBA loans, or creative deal structures, it's possible to take over a business with little or even no money down. Think about it. You don't need to invent the next Uber or risk it all on a startup. You can buy a boring but profitable business, a laundromat, a cleaning company, an e-commerce store that someone else built and is now ready to hand off. You take over, improve it, grow it, and build wealth without starting from zero. For those afraid to start, don't. Buy instead. If this idea is at all appealing to you, or you're on the fence about going all in to buy a business, I get it. You may not have the risk tolerance to do so, but check out this video where I break down how to buy a business while working a full-time job. There are tips and tricks and strategies that I was able to use in order to help me buy a business while having a full-time job. Now, that didn't eliminate the risk, but it certainly provided a safety net if the new venture didn't work out. Check out the video, because buying a business might not feel so risky after you learn a little bit more about the process. Thanks for watching. And if you're ready to take the leap, check out my course. It's a step-by-step guide for literally every step of the process. This course you can do absolutely while working a full-time job. Lots of strategies that will allow you to minimize the risk, not only of the search for a business, but also the risk associated with buying a business and taking out that loan. Everybody is concerned about personal guarantees when you do an SBA loan. Well, there are even strategies about minimizing the risk associated with that. So if any of this at all sounds interesting, check out the course, because it could be a great next step for you.